I'm liking this vibe.
Whenever I think of something being such a vibe, is you. My friend Dennis is such a vibe. I think you can charge your water with good energy. So I think 2 people with good energy.
Come on. Isn't it a full moon right now too?
It is.
It's been good to me so far.
Hi guys, welcome back to Such a Vibe with Mia. I am so excited to show you guys. This is actually the first episode I ever recorded. And of course I was going to have my friend Dennis right with me. Who else? Our conversations are always so filled with downloads and wisdom, and I wanted you guys to be a part of it. In this episode, we talk about emotions, what our journeys have been with our own emotions, and how we have learned to express them and get to know our emotions a little bit better. I know you guys are going to get so much out of it, so I can't wait for you guys to get into it. Enjoy.
Life has its ebbs and flows. I don't know if we'll ever stay in 100% alignment 100% of the time. I don't think life is meant to be that. I think life is meant to allow for the full range of emotions to be experienced, and you only get some of those emotions when you're out of alignment. Sometimes you can only know what you love and be grateful when you have experienced the absence of those things. So.
And I think you hit it right on you hit the nail on the head, because we do come to this world not just to work and be on a diet and have our fitness goals met and whatever, but we come to this world to experience. Like my massage therapist always says, that's why we came with these bodies that have senses. So we have a full sensory experience. We came here to feel and experience what it is to be alive. And part of that is feeling those negative emotions, the absence of being in alignment. Because I think those things show you what alignment is supposed to feel like.
Bingo.
Right? Because like when you were in a job that you hated, you were like, I know exactly what I hate about this job. And when you were like not happy in relationships, I bet you knew, I know exactly what it is that I don't like about the situation. And you could probably even list the feelings if you wanted to. If not, some people, like me, I'm not very good at naming my feelings, but some people could even say frustration, constricting, or what do you call that? Like feeling like locked down or chained down. I know like I've felt that in relationships before when I'm not in alignment with my values.
Yeah, I think it's so important to, one, just be aware of feelings in general, because a lot of people experience feelings, but they aren't necessarily aware that they're experiencing the feelings. And that distinction is important so that you can become aware of when those things are present and what is making you feel those things, and then for you to start to hopefully alleviate some of the things that are making you feel ways that you don't want to feel.
I think of all of my friends, I would safely say that, but especially the men that I've known, you are really good at recognizing feelings. But I think you're also really good at helping other people recognize their feelings as well.
Well,
What do you think? Like, I know that that's probably just how you're built, but like, because that was going to be my question. Like, how did you learn how to do that?
One, thank you for that. Two, no, I could say probably majority of my life I was pretty emotionally unavailable.
Really? To yourself and to others?
Both.
Yeah.
Both, particularly in terms of romantic relationships.
Okay.
I would say I was emotionally unavailable for a long time. Again, that was another thing that I got through therapy, getting in touch with some emotions that I hadn't been allowing myself to feel. Anger was a big one of those. I hadn't allowed myself to really feel anger to its depths. And as I started to realize that, then I started to just allow myself to feel that more, and that just made me conscious of what other emotions I hadn't been feeling. So it was a combination of therapy, number one, but it was also, I read a book that really changed my life around emotions, and it's called The Language of Emotions by Carla McLaren. And what she says in the book is that all emotions are valid, all emotions are welcome, right? Whether that's anger, whether that's jealousy, whether that's all emotions are valid and they have a place, but all emotions bring a message. And when we can get the message that the emotion brings, then we can receive the message and process the emotion and let the emotion pass. And that was really important for me because once I really studied what message each emotion brings, then it allowed me to process them a little more quickly and resolve them a little more quickly. But that is actually processing the emotion as opposed to just trying to sweep it away or trying to deny it and not feel it. It's like, what are you trying to show me? What are you trying to give me so that I can get that and then allow you to flow like water? They come, they give you what they need, and then they keep on moving.
I love that. I love that you said all feelings are valid and all feelings are welcome.
Yeah, that was a huge, awareness for me, because before there were emotions that I tried not to feel. There were emotions that I was afraid of, that I was embarrassed of, that I was confused around feeling. So I had a lot of feelings about my feelings, and kind of, that's another thing I learned in therapy. But don't have feelings about your feelings. Just feel the feeling.
Don't have feelings about your feelings. Wow, I feel like that's a big one for me.
It opened me up.
Now that I think I'm gonna put that one in my pocket, because I'm always like, I don't like how I feel that I'm feeling this way. Like, why am I this angry right now? I don't know that I like me being this angry.
And when you have feelings about those feelings, one, it doesn't allow you to process the actual feeling that you have because you're so busy feeling
resisting it.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to be angry.
Yeah. I don't want to be jealous. I don't want to be afraid. I don't want to be whatever that is. But you can't actually feel it, and you can actually get the message that it's trying to give you when you aren't allowing yourself to feel it. So that was one of the things that helped break me over.
I think that's huge. I think also, like, something I recently learned in therapy, this one was a huge breakthrough for me, was I was telling my therapist that I've been told before, I'm really good at going from negative to positive. I can turn something up. I'm sure you've seen it. Like, I can go, oh, but I'm fine and everything's going to work out and I can see the silver lining. But that middle part where you're processing those emotions in between, that part I skip that step, and it's not really great for you to do that. So I was talking to my therapist about that this week, and I was like, I know that there are things in my life that I need to feel, that I just won't even think about, because I'm like, oh, I don't like the emotions that come up with that topic, or, I just don't even want to think about that, because the emotions that come up on, with this, it's just, no, I don't want to do it. And what he said was, let me take a sip. Because it's very, very, wise information.
Let me take a sip so I can receive.
I'm also building the anticipation, you see. But I was, he said, why do you think you don't want to feel those feelings? And I said, because they'll be so big and it'll be so overwhelming that I don't think I can handle it. And he said, that part right there, you don't think you can handle it. And as soon as he shined the light on that statement, it opened me up to understand that statement was limiting me from everything that I wasn't accomplishing and moving forward with, including feelings, including my tasks, including my goals. Everything was, if something goes wrong, or if something's too big, or if something's over, I can't handle it. That was the story. Like, once I told myself, you know what, even if I fall apart when I face these emotions or these circumstances that occurred, if I can say to myself, no, I believe I can handle it, then it takes away the power of that resistance. So it's like, okay, I know that if I think about my aunt passing away, it'll just destroy me. That's what I was thinking. But now if I'm like, no, I can handle it, like, yeah, I'll cry, and yeah, I might be down for a couple of days if I really, really get into it and unpack it, but I'll be okay, I can handle it. When I hear somebody like my therapist, who's been working with me for about 2 years now, say, I've seen you be resourceful, I've seen you handle things, you've been through things in your past that seem like they would be really hard to overcome, and you've overcome those things. So you have the resources, you have the tools, you can handle it.
Wow. Talking about setting you free. It's like Finding what that little block is that's stopping you from feeling the things that you need to feel, from processing the things that you need to feel, encouraging you, showing you proof from your past where you have felt the things and they didn't break you, where you did handle them. It's like, boom, that's what sets you free.
And then you see, I'm a lot stronger than I think.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's interesting? The other thing I was going to point out was, like I've noticed with women, it's the negative emotions that we have a harder time feeling or acknowledging, right? Like anger, jealousy, sadness. Like we kind of just, I can't speak for other women, but I know like for the women in my family, we were always taught, no, you should always be happy and pleasing and, and it wasn't necessarily like a written rule, but it was just something we understood. And I've noticed that for a lot of men, it can be the good feelings. Right? Like love. Like I've seen so many men in my life, whether it's friends or significant others or even like family members, where they'll be scared to experience love because it's, if I get myself to feel that, it's really easy for me to feel the loss of it. And it's really easy for me to feel the loss of myself. And so it's like protecting themselves from those positive feelings, which you wouldn't, like, why wouldn't you want to feel positive? But I get it. I understand that.
Talk about like nuggets. Yeah, I never really thought about that, particularly difference between men and women and the feelings that they try not to feel. But you're right. It can be scary to open yourself up to those kind of feelings because of what it may feel like if you lose it. And the vulnerability that it takes to get to that level is an entirely different set of feelings that men probably usually try not to feel. So yeah, I never thought about just that because men usually don't have so much trouble expressing anger, expressing jealousy, expressing rage, all of these things, but some of the softer feelings
Isn't that
can
crazy?
be a struggle. Yeah.
That is crazy. Like, and why is it so challenging for women to express anger, but not for men?
I think it goes back to what you just said. Historically, society hasn't made room for women to express those feelings because you should be a lady and you should be poised and you should be, all of these things. And the same goes for men,
You can't be soft.
Yeah, So I think it's
You can't be soft, you gotta be hard.
Yeah.
Don't you show those emotions.
Yeah.
Tuck them in.
It's these societal, these familial roles that we've been taught to play. And part of those roles are which emotions to feel and display and which ones not.
But think about a woman that can adequately express, or I don't want to say adequately, I want to say effectively express her anger. Don't you think that's attractive as a man?
I do. I particularly think it's a lot more attractive than a woman who can't control her anger and she bottles it up for so long until it just, oh my God, explodes. And then we're like,
where'd that come from? Well, because 30 years ago, you stole my lollipop.
Yeah. But to your point, I think it's equally attractive as it is for women when a man can express his anger in a healthy way. The same is true for a woman when she can express that in a healthy way. I think it's an attractive human quality when a person can communicate.
That part.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
But I think also like when a man can allow himself to feel those feelings, that's also attractive. And it doesn't even have to be what's attractive for the opposite sex. It's like you feel better as a person to be 100% authentic with your feelings and to be able to not only acknowledge but allow yourself to feel all of those emotions. Like I just recently started playing with anger. And I use the word playing because I've always shut that angry bitch down. I was like, no, you are going in the closet and never coming out. And I think since I was a baby, like you just can't be angry, Nia. And so it wasn't until this, past 6 months, I think, where I've discovered the strength in anger. There's a place for every emotion. They're all welcome. And anger can be really fun to play with, because anger can catapult you to do things. It can propel you to take action. Anger can make you go, oh no, that's going to be a boundary. Anger can help you say enough is enough, and it can also help you protect yourself or others that you love. And so I think that there's a lot of power in anger, and I think that we shouldn't demonize, as women especially, but I think also sometimes men, to demonize the anger so much. There's a place for it, but we just have to know how to express it properly.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It's like you read the book. It's like you read the book. Because that's exactly what she said. The message in anger is that a boundary has been crossed and we need to reestablish that boundary, right? Now, sometimes there is a way to establish that boundary where it doesn't involve violence or rage or any of those things. But when needed, the anger is there to assist you in reestablishing that boundary. So it's about having a balance of when and how to express that anger, right? And sometimes you can get the message and release the emotion without flying off the handle. And then sometimes when somebody is, say, for example, physically harming you, then the anger is there to protect you, is there to serve you. So yeah, every emotion brings a message, and it's about receiving a message and then processing the emotion. But you hit the nail on the head with that one.
And what do you think about, what do you think would help a man learn to fully embody those positive feelings that one would be so scared to even feel?
One is a safe space. That's where my current relationship really comes in, because she gives me a soft space to land for those emotions. You can find that through a partner, you can find that through a friend, some you can do with yourself, but having that safe space to experience those emotions without judgment is probably the biggest thing, because I think a lot of men, even if they feel those emotions, may be afraid to express those emotions because of the judgment that comes with it. And sometimes men can express those feelings with a woman and they may not be so well received. Maybe even a woman perceives it as being weak. And so it's really about having a safe space to land, and hopefully we received that as kids. But if we did not receive that as kids, then hopefully curating a space where we can receive that in our adult life, I think is super helpful.
I think that's true for all the feelings. I would say all the feelings, because also anger, right? Like if I come to you and I'm like, I'm gonna need a moment because I am extremely pissed off at you right now. And you're like, I'm right here with you, but let's just hold space. Like, feel it, and when you're ready, let me know what you're feeling. Like, that would be huge. If somebody was to be like, I'm here and I'm not going anywhere. I'll give you a moment if that's what you need, but when you're ready, let's talk.
Yeah. And even like thanking the other person for the maturity that they just showed, right? And it does create a safe space from both ends. Like, one, I'm communicating to you what I'm feeling. I need you to know that I'm feeling angry right now in this moment. But in the best intentions for our relationship, I'm not going to express that beyond this point right now. I need a little time.
Oh, if we could all be that regulated in those ones, right?
Yeah.
Instead of pop, pop, pop. I know.
Been on both sides of it. I've given both sides of it. And I can tell you, one of these things is not like the other. Yeah.
Well, what's interesting for me with anger is that there is a space when I'm feeling that anger, when I do talk like that, where I'm all heady, no emotions. Because again, and Leos, people don't seem to understand that this little kitten is a roaring lion. And I don't think people appreciate how much I could show that side of me, but I don't. And I think a lot of people that have that strong type of passionate way of communicating know that, okay, it can be a roaring fire that can also be a forest fire, or like whatever you call that. So like I could burn everything down. And so I've learned I have to reel it in, and I've got to control that passion when I'm talking that way, because if I get so angry or so heated in the moment, I can say things that I will never be able to take back. I can really injure somebody's emotions, feelings, self-esteem. And you have to ask yourself, like, is it worth it? So I think, like, for me, I've learned when I'm angry, I kind of do this thing where I, like, come outside of my body and I'm just looking at two people as an outsider. And I'm acknowledging, like, oh, this is how I'm feeling, but I'm also seeing how she's feeling. And so I'll be doing that, and I'll be trying to manage, which I'm not supposed to be managing another person's emotions, first of all. But I am conscious of it, and I'm looking at, okay, there are things I could say right now where if I take it in that direction, it's just gonna not be productive, you know? And I think that when I'm in that space, I'm the most productive in that conversation. But once I get out of there, like once I've passed that threshold, that's when I know that I need to walk away, or I'm gonna injure somebody's feelings.
Yeah, I think that's by definition emotional intelligence. When you're aware of your own emotions and the effects that they're having on you, you're aware of the effect that your emotions are having on someone else, but you're also aware of the emotions that the other person is experiencing. I think that's emotional intelligence. I think that's extremely healthy. You kind of say that you take a bird's eye view, and it allows you to see that. And sometimes zooming out does allow you to see that, and it does allow you to see the other person's perspective. Regardless of whether you agree with it or not, it allows you to see their perspective. And a lot of times just creating that distance, seeing it from a bird's eye view, is enough to pull you out of reacting in that moment. And I'm like you. For a long time, I was very afraid of my anger because I felt like I couldn't control it. And there was a part of my life where I couldn't control it. And I had seen the product of anger when it's mishandled. And I've seen the consequences of that. And I think that, thankfully, seeing those consequences encouraged me to have a new relationship with my anger. But I think I took it too far where I didn't allow myself to necessarily feel it, didn't allow myself to express it. And it was great for the time that I was in. It kept me out of a lot of trouble, I think. But as an adult, I realized how much anger I had bottled up that still needs to be expressed. And now I can go back and express that anger to some of the same people as a mature adult. And I can express it, as weird as this may sound, but coming from a loving place. You know, here's how that made me feel. Here's the impact it had on me and the impact it's still having on me. And like, I need you to understand that. I need you to really feel that because it's still in me. But now we can have a conversation around it. Now we can grow through it. But for a long time, I didn't feel it because I was afraid that it would get out of control.
I think that's so cool. And I have seen that in the time that I've known you. I have seen you go from, I'm gonna step outside of IKEA because I'm about to go off on this lady. You remember that? And it's not gonna be a good situation, Neodell. Like, it's just not. To, you better walk away. Remember in the car? We were in the car and somebody came up beside us and was whoop-de-wooing at us, and you were like, what? You better turn around. And I remember that was the first time I actually ever saw you express it.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, oh, you better turn around. You mean business. Like, you. And I wasn't mad at it, and I wasn't uncomfortable with it. I was like, yeah. Yeah, because this guy's not going to be coming at us sideways, like, one way or the other, no matter how this shakes out. Like, Dennis is not going to allow that. And I, you know, as your friend, I also felt very safe in that moment because I was like, well, I'm not gonna fight because you know she's the money maker. But you know, if you want to go for it, I wouldn't be mad at you because he's being kind of a dick.
Yeah, I don't remember what the exact situation was with that, but I know we both felt like it was completely unwarranted. Like we were minding our business. We were in our own zone. And
we remember we were having a great time, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I don't even
like it was
know.
a good day, and this guy just comes up, and it's just in a funk. But I remember you saying, you said something along the lines of, you know what, he's gone. I'm not going to allow him to mess up my flow because I'm in a good space right now, and I was before he got here, and I'm going to continue to be in a good space. And you said that you were like, I'm not going to allow his energy to take mine.
Yeah, it goes back to what we were just saying. Like the anger came up, it did what it needed to do. I needed to reestablish a boundary, you know, and let him know, go that way.
That way.
You know, and we but when that was done, it was like, all right, I'm gonna leave that energy with him.
And we're back.
Yeah, that situation is back, and like we're back to having a good day. I think that is a great example of how to process the emotion and not let the emotion like overwhelm.
Take over.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Don't let other people ruin our good day. You know.
Oh, we were having a great day.
We were.
But you know, well, we always have a great
This
day.
is true.
But this is what I was gonna go to. Like, I feel like you and me both have a baseline where we're just a joyful people.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's our regular, natural, neutral state.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I know that there's people that don't have that state. There's people that have it a little bit lower. We've worked on our frequencies. Like I know individually, like I've seen you work on yours and I know I've worked on mine.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like we just were born happy all the time. I mean, we were actually, everybody was.
This is true. Before the world got to us.
Yes.
Yes.
We're all born happy.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I don't think that was the natural set point always for us.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, like, I know I've had to learn to get that frequency up to where that's my natural level, that's my natural state. And so when stuff gets me out of alignment, when I go back to neutral, I'm not going back down here, I'm coming back to that joyful state.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't need to be elated all the time, but I know what my set point is. And so if I'm not there, I know something is not right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that you have to work towards. What is something that you if you remember when you started working on getting yourself there? Can you remember that time period and what that was like?
I think it was a combination of two things for me. Number one, it was when I had my son. When I had my son, I saw so much of me in my son at his like early stages. So when he was like 4 or 5, I just saw this. I mean, as all kids have, there's just a joy for life. There is a natural amount of love that's exuded to those around you. And I remember when I used to be that, like we were just saying, before the world kind of got to me, before certain things happened to me. I remember when I used to be that, and so I started consciously working my way back to that, back to love. Coming back to a space of love. But another thing, I actually took a course, and I forget the exact name of the course, but it was an online course with the Dalai Lama. It was through a book called 10% Happier. I forget the author's name off the top of my head, but he's a media guy, really famous media guy, Dan something. Anyway, in the book, he does a kind of a meditation through an app with the Dalai Lama. But the Dalai Lama talks about having this baseline of happiness. And he said exactly what you said. Like there's this baseline of happiness, a baseline of peace. And occasionally there will be some things happen. Just as an example, let's say you win a lotto or you win a vacation. And then this is your baseline and then it spikes up. And it's like joy. It's like you're ecstatic, all of these things. And then, that things happen and then you come back down to your base level of joy, and then something bad happens, whether there's a death or there's a traumatic situation, whatever it is, and then it dips below. But then it's kind of like a buoy, and then you just raise back up to your level of satisfaction. And meditation is one of the things that really helped me learn to get back there. Like things are going to happen throughout the day, throughout life, that may pull us off course, either for the positive or for the negative. but it's about establishing that baseline that this is where I live. It's just kind of a baseline of gratitude. So anyway, that meditation is what really helped me kind of start to develop my own baseline.
Do you think that that was like around the same time as your like awakening?
Yeah, it was all in that. Yeah, it was all like in that 2-year period where I came into my awakening, and I started realizing how close my son is to, or children are, to God and to happiness and all the things. Like, oh yeah, I need to work my way back to that.
Thank you for joining us in today's episode of Healing and Feelings with my good friend Dennis Ray. I've attached some of the books that we discussed in the links down below, as well as his Instagram handle, so you can follow him. Until next time, you guys, this is What Is Such a Vibe with Nia.